Hey guys, holy grits. First off, I want to get into something before I start talking about how love is a choice. Yesterday, Friday, I was supposed to drop this episode, and I learned a very valuable lesson. I was not prepared. Um, so what I learned was yesterday was so chaotic. It was like I was at the Ford dealership all day long, like till about noon. And then, last minute, my daughter texted me and said, "Hey, I think I need to go to the hospital, blah, blah, blah." And I was just like, "Oh my God, like what is happening?" And then, you know, we were at the hospital for like 5 hours. And by the time I got home, because I was planning on editing and looking over my video that I recorded on Tuesday to just make sure everything's good and whatnot. Yes, I got bangs and I already do not like them. I feel like women do that all the time, but whatever. Got home. It was around like almost 6 o'clock. It was 5:30. It was like 5:30 something, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have to edit this video." Blah blah blah. High anxiety, right? Like because I promised that I was gonna make this drop at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and I was like, "Now, Dawn, why are you in this position?" Because sometimes, we get stuck in a loop, right? Of like waiting till the last minute and, things come up and then we can't follow through with our obligation or our promises that we promised. And I was like getting so upset. Like I was like, why? I was like, oh my gosh. And I was looking over what I recorded, and I already recorded it twice on Tuesday. And I was like, okay, I'm happy with like the 17-minute long one. Well, I looked over it again last night and I was like, okay, it's not transferring from my phone. Nothing's working. Okay. And then I finally get it to work and I'm watching it on the computer and I'm like, this isn't what I want to put out. And I was like, I don't want to drop this. And I was like, okay, I can drop it tomorrow on Saturday. But then I started going back and forth. No, I promise, I promise. And I was like, okay, but it's not what I want to drop. And like, I can't record it right now and just not in a mental space to do so. And I sit with myself and I go, how can I prevent this from happening again? Because I think what some people forget to do is when we are put in these situations, especially entrepreneurs, and we're handling different things, and single moms, single dads, and especially with content creation and doing like YouTube and like all of that, other platforms, we need to be prepared for unpredictable things. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to prevent this to happen in the past? Or in the past, how am I going to prevent this to happen in the future? And I said, I am going to record, look over my things prior, and then record 2 weeks in advance or 3 weeks in advance. I'm going to do a bulk day of recordings and editing and, record three, and then during the week on the third day, go over everything that I want to post, have everything in my drafts, have everything uploaded and ready to go. So that's going to solve my issue so I don't get down on myself, because I was super down on myself. Why did it do that? That's funny. I wonder if it'll do the peace sign. I don't know if y'all saw that, but yeah. um, and then I was like, then I won't feel sad, and then I won't feel anxious, and then I won't feel like I'm not living up to my word, because I am a very I don't like to go back on my word, and that gets me down. So yeah, lesson I learned. I just wanted to put that out there. Whenever you start a new business or start something new, you're going to go through learning curves. And this is one that I realized. So yeah, let's get into it. Everybody wants to talk about like they want real love, right? Um yeah, me too, dude. But let's be honest. Real love isn't always cute. It's not just like butterflies or like late night text. Those feelings fade, they change. And one day, you're head over heels, and the next day you're like, do I even like this person right now? Like, who the hell is this person? Are you okay? Because listen, I am a lover. I like to put positivity out there in life, and I'm gonna give you an example. I have my moments, okay, when I'm super stressed out with the kids and things are going crazy in life, and I might, and I have done this, and I've had it thrown in my face. My weak moment was this person at, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it, but for over a year, prescription, picking up prescriptions and whatnot, I had to change my, because this one pharmacy, they're like little girls there, and they're like always treated me and other people too really rudely. And I just like flipped out on them in front of my ex, and he never let me live that down. And I'm just like, you know what? I was honestly, I'm no excuses, but I was hormonal. I was stressed out. I had been sick for 7 months. I was trying to get the right vitamins, and they were being like standoffish, and they weren't helping me. And I just like kind of just lost my shit. Like, I lost my shit. And most of the time, like, I'm not like that. Like, I try to be calm, cool, collected, and show people love and grace and all of that. But, like, because this is so important, because if you don't truly know this person and you don't show them grace in their weakest moments, because feelings do come and go, they're emotional and they're chemical, right? But love, real love, is a choice. And in those moments where your loved one is having a bad day and they're not acting like their true self or who they've shown you for the last 6 months or 8 months or whatever, who they are, that is about deciding, I am in this with you, even when it's not fun or easy. And it's okay to check them and be like, hey, that was like not okay. Like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? How can we release the stress? And like, there has to be like something underlining, because I know this isn't you, baby. Like, what can I do? Or, what can you do to help, calm yourself down? And it's like, even when life gets hard, right? When life hits hard, that is when we're tested the most to be like our true selves still. Also, like, there's like love lives on two sides of your brain. I don't know if you know this, but like one is like the emotional and the honeymoon stuff, and the other side of the brain is logic, commitment, and consistency, like showing up. So when things get hard, your emotional brain screams, run, because it's trying to protect you. But your logical brain says, wait a minute, maybe this is just a season, or, maybe like she's just having a hard day, or he's just having a bad day, and, or a bad week, or whatever. That's where like the tug of war happens between loved ones. And because sometimes it's not even about them, it's about old pain waking up in us. The mature thing is to pause and ask, especially like if the problems have to do between you two and you guys have been facing issues together for a while, because both of your traumas are being triggered, and you're trying to work through things and figure out how we can, communicate better. And it's hard work. So we have to ask, when we're feeling certain ways about the other partner, about our partner, is it really about them? Or like, is this our old wound talking? And in those moments, and even like on a daily basis, we have to keep our love alive. Like, relationships can run on autopilot, especially if you've been together for a while and you have lived together. I see this all the time. You have to keep the love alive. You have to keep asking your woman on dates, guys. You have to bring her flowers. You have to keep up what you did in the very beginning to spark that relationship. We are, as women, you do these small little things, you'll find a different person in us. When life gets busy, kids, jobs, losing a job, stress, you still gotta nurture that connection. And when that isn't there, the other person might feel like you don't care about them anymore. It's just not about romance in a relationship, in a partnership. It is a friendship. You should be best friends with your partner. When you build a real friendship with your person, real love, when you build a real friendship, forgiveness becomes easier to give to that person. And because at the end of the day, you just realize, hey, this is my best friend. I care about them. I love them. Even though this is my life partner and whatnot, this is not my enemy. They've been there through certain things with me and have not left my side. And that's where, like, a lot of us, I feel, get stuck, is when we start treating the person we absolutely love and adore and have all these feelings for like the enemy, you know? Because they have hurt us in a way we never would have hurt them, maybe. But here's the truth, guys. They have experienced love differently than we did. In relationships, and their mom and their dad when they were being raised, they have experienced love differently than us. Their version of love might not look like our version of love, right? That doesn't mean that we ignore our boundaries, but it does mean that we try to see them instead of just judging them. We try to understand them more. We stop expecting them to love exactly how we love, because that's where our expectation turn into resentment. And this is stuff that I have learned through my relationships. And resentment is where our connection dies in our relationship. So instead, you're not loving me right. Instead of saying that, you're not loving me right. How come you're not loving me? I would have never done that to you. How could you do that to me? How can you say that you love me or expect them to communicate the way that you communicate? Again, sorry, I got off track. Instead of you're not loving me right, why don't you try teach me how you love? Teach me how I can love you. How do you need to feel love? I do know that it is hard to choose love when you're hurt. It's hard. It's hard to forgive when pride is still bleeding, especially if they have hurt you in ways, that you've never even expected them to hurt you. Oh my goodness. Still learning. But forgiveness doesn't mean that it was okay for them to treat you that way. It just means that you're not going to let it poison your heart anymore. Because when you allow that poison to get into your heart, it grows. And then it always is going to get add more and more on top of it. It just means you're not going to let it poison, right? You can't let it poison your heart. It'll just guard your heart. Ephesians 4:32 says, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, just as Christ, God forgave you. Forgive each other. This verse, I don't know, this verse humbles me every time. I try to read this verse a lot because I have a hard time forgiving myself sometimes. And if I can't forgive myself, how can I forgive others? Because if God can forgive me knowing all of my mess, and trust me, I've had plenty of messes. Then maybe I can start softening my heart too. And I'm not talking about religion. I not talking about religion. I'm talking about peace, because bitterness, it eats you alive. I've seen it. I've seen it in my family. Letting go of the guilt and shame that you carry is going to help you with that bitterness that you have. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is ourselves. I'm learning that a lot in therapy, how like we replay every mistake, every word we wish we didn't say. I am breaking generational traumas right now, and I have been since I've had my son. And trust me, now that he's almost 19, I am replaying everything that I could have done differently. And he had to grow up with me. I was 18 when I had him, and then 23 when I got my baby sister. I am replaying, and I think the biggest thing right now for me is healing that, knowing that I didn't know what I didn't know at that time. We like replay those mistakes, and every word, every action we wish that we didn't say to them or our partner. That guilt turns into shame, and shame is heavy. That's not what God wants. That's not what we are here as humans to put on ourselves, because that can cause anxiety. That can cause us, to overthink and cause depression and cause a lot of built up anxiety inside our body. That it makes us feel unworthy of love. So we push people away before they can reject us. I've done that before. I've done that in friendships. I've done that in relationships. And, where like I have like loved someone so much, and I have pushed them away, or I've tested them. It's called fear-based, what is it? I forget what it's called, but it's called like a fear-based avoidance. And I'm learning that through therapy as well. Anyway, so we do push people away before they can reject us. And we do this not even knowing that we're doing it. But you're not meant to live in guilt forever. You're meant to grow through it. Okay, so Colossians 3:13 says, "Forgive as the Lord has forgave you." Right? That includes forgiving yourself, because you can't give grace to others if you won't give it to yourself first. It's a really hard one. I know, trust me, it's a really hard one to do. But what love really looks like, and I know I'm quoting the Bible a lot, and I'm sorry, like if you don't believe in God or whatever, the universe, I think it's still really helpful to point these things out, because it goes into our daily lives about like love and relationships. So like 1 Corinthians 13:4-7 says, "Love is patient," and I know you guys have heard this before if you've been through weddings or 2 weddings. Love is patient. Love is kind. It keeps no records of wrongs. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. So, I know y'all have heard that. That verse isn't just for weddings, guys. It's for everyday life. Love being patient means you give people space to heal. Love being kind means you check your tone even when you're mad. Keeping no record of wrongs means you stop bringing up the past every day. It means you did. So here's an example that my pastor had said about this, about like, oh, we feel like that we've done wrong to them, so I feel like I owe them, or they've done wrong to me. No, they owe me, right? No, we don't keep record of that. Because if we do, we're keeping record of that in our bodies and in our minds, and like just let it go. Love perseveres. That's the real freaking work. That's where the real work comes in, because us as humans, we should always be evolving. We should always be changing, and we should always be trying to be better every single day. I know you've heard it before. 1% better every single day. So yeah, we do change. And if you have so much love for that person, or, friendship, whatever it is, you have so much faith in them, real love can make it through. Real love can persevere through that. It might take a minute and it might be hard the first couple of weeks or a month or 2 months. That's why that there's seasons where it's going to be hard in your relationship partnership. Sometimes one of us is growing faster or hurting deeper. And but like, partnership is about choosing to walk together through it, not against each other. And I feel like that's where like a lot of us like kind of go wrong. I don't want to say go wrong, but like we just like get in our heads a lot. So like when you've been hurt, you build walls, especially people that have been hurt by, their mom, their dad, and the people that have raised us. Like it is like 10 times harder and like way easier to build walls and to run away. You end up like telling yourself as you get older, never again. I'm never getting in a relationship like this ever again. I am never going through this ever again. You tell yourself, never ever again will I do this. Now, of course, there's some certain like circumstances, but those walls protect and isolate at the same time. Forgiveness, it breaks it all down. It breaks those walls down. Having forgiveness, it does break. I have learned this recently. Forgiveness does break them down. And I've also realized that the reason I have had so much of a hard time forgiving a lot of other people is because I have a hard time forgiving myself for the things that I have gone through and the things that I've put my kids through sometimes, and what I've put myself through. And so like that's where it goes back to, if we have a hard time forgiving ourselves, we're going to have a hard time forgiving other people. And I have had a huge awakening to forgiving and giving grace to other people because of Jesus and because of God, even if that's not your forte. It does give you a certain sort of freedom, and I've had less anxiety in my heart than I have ever had before, because I am like, oh wow, like this is like, I always said like, oh, I forgive them. I understand where they're coming from. I understand this, I understand that. But like deep down, it's like, how could I have truly forgiven them if I can't truly forgive myself for doing some of the things that I've done? I don't want to get emotional on this. But yes, grace opens the door again, for sure. Self-forgiveness keeps your heart soft enough to receive love again. Love isn't blind. It is very wise, giving out love. It remembers, but it doesn't live in the past. That is growth. That is real growth. So yeah, this one was a long one this time. So yeah, anyways, love is a choice. It's not all a fairy tale. It's not a feeling. It is a daily decision. It's, it's showing up when it's hard. I don't know why it's doing that. What the heck is going on? It's keeping the friendship alive. It's forgiving without forgetting your worth. It's staying soft when the world wants you cold. Because real love, the kind that survives, it's holy, It's gritty, and it's the kind that grows through pain and still chooses light at the end of the day. That's what Holy Grits is all about. Finding beauty in the bruises, grace in the grind, and faith in the fire. If this hits your heart today, drop a comment, share it with someone who needs it, and make sure you subscribe for real, raw, and faith filled conversation. So, I'm sorry this was a little bit longer. Till next time, stay holy, stay gritty, and just remember you are still worthy of love, even on your hardest day. Love, Dawn Michelle, Holy Grits.